Oh boy, it's that time of the month again. The Mimic might sound familiar to you. It might not. It definitely sounds familiar to me, and I absolutely love it. Now, let's begin. Strap in. This might take a while. This video will contain spoilers for the first 6 Tales from the PizzaPlex books, so you have been warned. The Mimic was first introduced in the first Tales from the PizzaPlex book, which released on July 19th, 2022. Back then, the community either called him Burnt Endoskeleton or Burn Traps Endoskeleton, and it didn't get a name until the 4th book, Submechanophobia, released. That's when we learned of the Mimic. He has since appeared in many of the other Tales from the PizzaPlex stories, which I will be getting into now. To understand who the Mimic is, I will be recapping every story he appears in chronologically from a timeline standpoint, starting with... Edwin Murray is an engineer working for Fazbear Enterprises. A year and a half ago, Edwin's company was bought out by the chain, and he's been working on projects for Fazbear ever since. His job is to make animatronics out of costumes. Directly mentioned in the story is Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, Foxy, 2 court jesters, a mushroom man, a purple lion, and a green alligator. Which, by the way, does that sound familiar? He and his son David live in an old warehouse, which used to be used to make lace. Edwin decides that David needs a friend other than the plush tiger he always carries around to keep him company while Edwin works. And he gets the idea of making an animatronic that mimics behavior. He makes a program called Mimic 1 and builds a simple, legless endoskeleton. He presents it to David, and they name it Mimic. David and Mimic get along immediately, doing nearly everything together. One day, Edwin finds a box of construction paper and gives it to David and Mimic, who draw pictures together. Eventually, Mimic gets more advanced and begins responding too. David and Mimic make a tiger plush out of lace for Mimic, and everything is going great, until one fateful day. David goes into the front yard to play ball, and chases his ball into the busy road. Yeah, you can guess how that turned out. Edwin, although deeply saddened, continues his work. Mimic asks Edwin for ice cream, causing him to snap and destroy Mimic with a metal pole. Edwin then breaks down. The story cuts to months later, where a team of Fazbear Entertainment workers enter Edwin's workshop and find out about a team before them that never made it out, and then suffer unfortunate fates at the hands of a newly fixed, now violent Mimic. Workers are remodeling the burnt Freddy Fazbear's Pizza Place to be a museum for the currently under construction PizzaPlex. Their job is to break apart the robotic endoskeletons littered around the place and add them to a pile. Outside, state-of-the-art animatronics are delivered to the construction site. However, one of the robots looks burnt, except for its head, and it's missing its casing. One of the workers remodeling the pizzeria takes the endoskeleton and plugs it into his laptop, activating it and telling it to break apart the endoskeletons littered around the place and pile them up. It begins doing its job, but when it finishes with the endoskeletons, it starts doing it to the workers too. One escapes, named Danny, and tells the person controlling the cement truck to seal up the pizza place. Later, a group of teens break into the pizza place and get trapped, as the robot hunts them down. They find out the endo is in fact Mimic, and that the Mimics were mass-produced by Fazbear Entertainment to watch Showtime performances, then witness something terrible that caused the entire line to be scrapped and decommissioned, and that's as far as we've gotten with the epilogues. The next 2 contain any important information. I will talk about that when they release. It can also make the lights flicker and go out. Fazbear Entertainment decides to replace the creative team with an AI storyteller built to, well, tell stories and control every part of the PizzaPlex, including the animatronics and attractions. They decide that it'll be an animatronic in the PizzaPlex. They decide to let it choose what animal it should be. Edwin Murray, who was on the board of directors for Fazbear Entertainment, hates the idea, and he expresses this openly. He, however, is ignored. They go along with the idea and begin working on the AI. They decide to put it in an artificial baobab tree as per Edwin's request, and it is installed in the middle of the PizzaPlex's atrium. Edwin finds a delivery date for the animatronic's shell and sneaks in, seeing what it is. A white tiger. Edwin reasonably has a panic attack remembering his past and leaves. Later, he breaks into the tree itself and finds out what program the system is running. Mimic 1. He continuously sneaks in, and this doesn't go unnoticed by Burroughs. He locks Edwin in the tree, which has no ventilation. A week later, Burroughs goes into the tree and sees the lifeless Edwin in the tree covered in colorful construction paper with the words, "I'm sorry," scribed on them, as well as unintelligible drawings and symbols. The door locks behind Burroughs, and he's stuck. The computer password has been changed. Now, with that out of the way, which was a living hell to write, and I swear to you, this video was supposed to be out on May 9th. but I lost motivation writing this, and now we have a Ruin trailer. Anyways, now we can get to the fun part. Theorizing. First things first, the Mimic is 100% burn trap and glitch trap. If you look closely at glitch traps and the rabbit thing that appears in the Ruin trailer's eyes, you can see tear tracks pouring down, and you can see water pouring from glitch trap's mouth, both of which match Edwin's breakdown. And for burn trap, the way Mimic and burn trap hold their arms match. The damage into Mimic matches burn trap, and Tiger Rock literally has burn trap's endo arm. Let's see if I remember to put that on screen. With that out of the way, I'd like to bring up that Afton isn't possessing the Mimic, which I'll be getting to in a second. But first, in the epilogues, it is mentioned that Mimic sees a twisted game of hide and seek, which oddly matches up with Pizza Party and the MCI. Yeah, the Mimic seen the MCI and then created Pizza Party. Another reason to believe this is what Mimic does in Epilogue 5. He lures the remaining teens into a back room and attempts to get them while wearing an animatronic suit. This would place the Mimic in 1984 and the opening of the PizzaPlex plus the Storyteller in 2024. And as to why I believe Mimic isn't possessed by Afton, well, Afton died in the Stitch Race stairs, and the Mimic, the story, shows heavy evidence that Stitchline Games is in fact true. More on that in a massive video I'm currently writing. But to explain the rest, I'm going to tell you the story of the Mimic. Minus the 3 summaries I gave you, that was more than enough writing for those stories. In 1985, the Mimic was retrieved from Edwin's workshop and mass-produced. They were sent to Freddy's locations and were tasked with watching performances. However, they witnessed the missing children incident and the Mimic line was scrapped. The year was 2024, and the popular Five Nights at Freddy's game series made by Steve Snodgrass was very popular. Taking advantage of this, Fazbear Entertainment makes a VR game to make light of the discrepancies their games, were doing. The entire thing was an elaborate cover-up, using old parts from the Mimic animatronics and scanning the Mimic 1 system into the game to input those performances. It learned the past of Fazbear Entertainment and William Afton and began mimicking it, possessing Vanessa and later Gregory. Fazbear Entertainment released the VR game and it got instant success, so Fazbear Entertainment began opening more locations and harvesting Remnant. Construction began and quickly finished on the PizzaPlex, opening in May of 2025. At this point, Fazbear Entertainment had locations all over the world, a funtime delivery service, which unfortunately had a virus running rampant through the system, which was connected to the main Fazbear Entertainment system, meaning employer records and such were being kept in a physical location, the Fazbear Entertainment archive building mentioned in the Storyteller. A distribution center, multiple PizzaPlexes, multiple successful games, people all about the Freddy Fazbear World lore, and more. The PizzaPlex undergoes multiple remodels, and we end our story in 2030, where Gregory finds the Mimic, now mysteriously with flesh in a suit, and destroys the PizzaPlex, sending it into ruin. Now, as a final thing, I want to talk about the weird bunny thing in the Ruin trailer, which is 100% the Mimic. I mean, just look at it! I'd also like to point out it only appears after Cassie puts on the weird Vanny mask thing and sees the daycare, but different. And that's about everything I have for you today. I put a lot of effort into writing the script, and I really hope you enjoyed it. If you watched this far, I'd like to thank you. See you next month in a video about either Ruin or Stitchline Games and Frights games, but it could also be neither of those.